Welcome to another BTL Exclusive, the AL/NL West preview on the Bookit Sports Podcast Network. Today I'm joined by two GOATs, Bookit with Trent and Jovan Deeb, and we are officially only a couple hours away from the MLB season. Wild, I guess it is opening day, kind of. Do you guys consider this as opening day since they've got the series a week ahead of the other games in South Korea? Like, what are you guys counting this as? And is this not the weirdest MLB start to the season ever? Jovan?
No, shit doesn't count. It ain't opening day yet. It ain't opening day until we got the whole early ass slate of games starting when everybody's playing at the same time, pretty much. This is just like glorified preseason, even though like it does count. It's just like a random regular season game stuck in the middle of spring training.
Yeah,
Trent?
I agree. I think it's weird. I think it's cool to see them growing the game, playing in where is it, Korea?
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't feel like opening day quite yet. A little too early.
I wonder if it's going to have an effect on these two teams. I mean, the Dodgers, super team, right? They get almost a week off traveling home. Probably doesn't make any difference, right? They get plenty of time off, but kind of a weird start to the season. A lot of travel. I mean, I'm gassed. We're about to go out to Vegas here soon. We're going to come back absolute bodies. How are these guys going to do after a 24-hour flight and a couple games, a couple warm-up games against the KBO squads? I don't know. We've never seen this before. Super weirds. I could only imagine, the Dodgers start out slow because of some weird travel before and everyone starts bitching. I'm sure, Trent, you will be. 100%.
Oh, I'll be bitching for sure. I'll be certainly bitching.
Rumor has it you dropped your Goat Whale the other day. People were talking.
I did. Rumors are true. The Goat Whale is dropped. Super hyped about it. Ended up making a tough decision. No pitchers this year, which I sat around and thought about for a while. Had to make the executive house call. I wasn't willing to put any pitcher I wasn't married to, and I just couldn't come to terms with one. Scooby Snacks, Tariq Skubal, and Spencer Strider were two names that I definitely considered, but Strider getting 250 Ks, that's an unheard of amount. And he's probably going to get 300, but I just didn't want to be in a position to get fucked over by an injury. So that's why I went with 5 absolute dogs that I'm wanting to go to war with and basically just offensively at the plate and avoided pitchers this year.
Yeah, pretty soft. You didn't put Mackenzie Gore in there, but we move.
I'm going to make a JV geyser for sure.
He would be a great leadoff hitter for that JV geyser.
Yeah.
He would be. All right. Well, you got a couple of your Goat Whale geysermans in these two divisions we're about to talk about in the AL West and the NL West, right? You got Yordan Alvarez in there. You got Freddie Freeman, the GOAT, to get 1 million hits. I'm sure he will. That team's stacked. We're going to talk about him. But first, let's hop into the AL West. Guys, if you're listening to this on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, drop a follow, stay a while, leave a review if you're feeling nice. All right, we're grinding our butts off, dropping these pods left and right. We're not stopping. Show us some love. All right, drop a like, leave a review, and drop a follow. All right, we're not going anywhere. Let's dive right in, boys. AL West, all right, the defending champion, Texas Rangers, are not the favorites to win their division. Houston at -115 is the favorite. And then you got Texas, like I just mentioned, Seattle lurking in the shadows like they always are, +300s. Trent, your Angels, value play, WCLV potentials, +4,500s.
No.
And then the good old Oakland A's, +25 thou wow. Insane. Why do they even put that up? Jovan, give us a rundown of the AL West. How are we feeling about this division this season?
I mean, it's another one of those that's up there for, one of the best divisions in baseball, probably right up there with the AL East, and it's as competitive as ever. Obviously, you have the defending World Series champion in there with the Rangers, and you got two teams that are probably gunning right for them with the Astros and the Mariners. I mean, I personally think that the Rangers are going to be the team come out of the World Series that's going to fall off a little bit, and the D-backs are kind of going to stay up, but that division's stacked, and there's a lot of good pitching there, even with, the Astros basically coming into the season have a starting rotation or full of guys that are on the IL, like by itself, and their rotation is still great with the healthy bodies they have. So it's an exciting division, to say the least. Even the A's are, I think, kind of going to be fun.
I love the A's.
Can't get worse. Finished the season strong last year. They did. Can't get worse, right? Only up from there. Trent, I know you're not the biggest Rangers fan. I see you bitching about them left and right on Twitter once the season starts up. Are you surprised to see them at +210 with the second shortest odds behind Houston? Or is this just, the respect that the Astros deserve?
I think the Astros definitely deserve this respect. I'm not really shocked by it at all. I don't think anyone would really be shocked to see a little Rangers hangover this year. Not that they got lucky or anything last year. They definitely had the squad to win the World Series, and they came through and actually did it for the first time in ever, right?
Yes, literally
Wow.
ever.
So I'm not expecting the Rangers to run it back and win this division this year. I think it's in the hands of the Astros with an MVP season from Goat Whale Jordan.
Of course, no bias in there at all. Okay. W pick there, W analysis. Let's talk about those Astros, all right? Because they're good every damn year. I swear they've been good every season since they switched conferences. You've got Altuve still up there at the top of the order. He's a hit machine. Jordan, Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Abreu, Yonner Diaz, Chas McCormick down there at the bottom of the order. Jeremy Pena, Jake Myers. This Astros team from top to bottom, pretty fucking solids. Then you look at their rotation, also pretty solids, but nothing crazy, nothing special. Jovan, are you thinking this pitching rotation could potentially hold this Astros team back? Can they rely on these veterans on the offensive sides to carry them throughout the season? Or is that rotation going to hurt them?
I don't think the rotation is going to hurt them because it kind of felt like as good as they were last year, like there were spots where we were fading the shit out of Christian Javier and Framber Valdez, and it came back, and Framber Valdez, I remember he went through a couple of really rough games, and then he went out and threw. Granted, it was the A's, but he had a no hitter, and then a game right after that, he had a no hit bid through 8 innings. Like it's a lot of up and downs last year from a lot of guys on the staff. So I feel like as crazy it is to sound, because they really weren't that bad on paper. Like there's nowhere to go but up, and I know they're pretty injured when you talk about the guys that are going to be missing some time to start the year, but I'm pretty big fans of like Hunter Brown taking the next step, Javier getting a little more consistent. Like all those guys, I think are going to be significantly better and more consistent this year. So from the pitching staff perspective, I'm not really worried. Obviously, the bullpen is amazing and going to do whatever they need him to do too. It just feels like whatever you throw at the Astros, like they're going to have answers. And like the lineup, there's no abyss down there anymore with Martin Maldonado. You got Yonner Diaz, who's a new catcher who can swing the bat much better. You got a lot of answers down there. So it's just, there's not many holes with that team. You can't really say too much.
Trent, I know you got Jordan in the Goat Whale. Is there anyone else in this lineup you're excited to be betting on again? I know we always talk about, fuck baseball in the middle of the summer. It's what it is. It's the only thing on, no football. But then baseball's gone and we start bitching about, it being gone. And we miss it so much. Is there a guy besides Jordan in this lineup filled with plenty of veteran goats who you're stoked to bet on again on PrizePicks, on the books, whatever it is?
Yeah, I'd really say the whole pitching rotation. I love betting on. You got Framber, you got Javier, you got Hunter Brown. Love sweating their over strikeouts. Definitely look forward to that. But Kyle Tucker is a name that definitely is one that I'm excited about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolute hit machine. Honestly surprised, you didn't think about putting him in there, but
yeah.
He's done his job already.
Pete likes him, I think.
He does, yeah. He's talking about him.
Kyle Tucker is literally a machine. I feel like if that dude stays healthy, there's nothing that could go wrong with the way he swings the bat. So he's unbelievable. He'll probably be hitting cleanup for this squad. We'll see what happens with him or Abreu. Either way, the Astros are stacked. There's a reason why they are minus money, minus 115 to win the AL West.
I'd like to see Pena have himself a year.
Yeah, Jeremy Pena, the shortstop, youngin.
I would like to see him. I know last year he definitely didn't have the year that I'm sure he hoped for, but it was just kind of tough to watch at times with some of his at-bats. So I hope he figures it out this year because he's a great player.
Yeah, going from Correa to him, I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
Right? You can't really win. But he's young, right? He's one of their prospects, a guy they believe in. We'll see if he takes that step down at the bottom of the order. Jovan, you believe in Jeremy Pena? You think he makes that step?
Yeah, I think he's going to have a pretty solid year this season. There's just not many guys in that lineup that I can really say I don't believe in, which is why I just look at the Astros. And from any other team, I mean, in the entire league, but especially in the AL West, I'm petrified because it just feels like it's going to be another one of those really scary years for that team. But speaking of guys that I'm really looking out for, who I'm definitely asking questions for my potential Goat Whale square.
Huh.
I think Christian Javier is my pitcher here.
No way.
Wow. Yeah. Which I like his strikeouts. And if you want to get like super nerdy with it for the reason why, Like last year, because he throws a lot of fastballs, but last year those fastballs were turkeys because he wasn't like getting all the run like that he usually gets on the fastball. So they've been working on that over the offseason, kind of getting his arm slot back to where it usually is. And I think that's going to be huge for him. He also kind of talked about having a little Manoah issue where he was struggling to keep up with the pitch clock late in the season because he had some extra pounds on by then. So he took some of those off. He's a little slimmer coming into the season too. So I think the strikeout stuff, not that it wasn't there last year, but it was a little inconsistent, and he was definitely serving up Turks with that fastball a lot. I think he's going to be him this season. Definitely a little more controlled. I don't think the home run problem is going to go away too much, but I think he's going to be better.
You gents think Houston wins this division easy?
Yeah. I will say, hot take though, I think the Angels surprisingly win more games this year than they did with in Shohei Ohtani's last year. I think that the pressure of having to put on for Shohei every single night and the colossal fuck ups that they would have to blow games late in the game and become a meme on social media for 24 hours until it happens the literal next day. I think it is like an elephant lifted off their shoulders. And I think that this is kind of a fuck you season for Mike Trout, saying like, this is my team. I'm still here and I'm still a potential MVP. And honestly, if they can clean shit up in their rotation and their bullpen, which is obviously a huge part of the game and they've never been able to figure out, but they've got some guys who can throw, and I'm excited to see how they respond with Shohei leaving, but I'm pretty confident in them surpassing their win total, which was pretty dog shit last year, this year.
Yeah, so they're sitting right now at 72.5 wins for this season. I'll be honest with you, Trent. I like that angle, right? So you got a team who their best player, everyone knows he's gone in a matter of weeks. That's got to be the weirdest feeling ever, playing in the clubhouse with that guy and with that happening, and then he leaves and you feel like shits, like you didn't want to be there, whatever. You hit the reset button, you come in refreshed, right? No Shohei talk, all business. Nobody's fucking taking this Angels team seriously at all. Yeah. And I've talked about this with Jovan on BTL. Like Mike Trout, sure, his back is jacked up, and I really hope we see him get to play 130 games this season. We need it. Baseball needs it. And you know what? Mike Trout needs it.
He does.
He needs it to defend his legacy because people are starting to talk. And I think they're starting to forget how unbelievable of a hitter Mike Trout really is. Honestly, a 5-tool guy. Great at every single aspect of the game. I really hope these injuries don't have, these kids, growing up watching the sport thinking Mike Trout is not him, because he is. And maybe he'll be out there, trying to prove something this season. I like the angle.
Facts.
But I don't like that pitching staff.
No.
And we're going to talk about it.
Pretty much shit.
Yes, we're going to talk about them. The Angels, there's a reason why they're plus 4,500 to win the AL West, gentlemen. It's because you got Reed Detmers as your one.
Yeah.
Okay. Trent, you're the Angels fan. All right, we want to hear from you. Give me a rundown. What are you thinking about this Angels team, pitchers, lineup, everything?
I think they missed out on a chance to get their fans reunited with the team by not signing Blake Snell and having something to look forward to this year, and also addressing a huge problem in their pitching rotation. I thought that was kind of a fumble, and it just seems like such a Angels signing with, not that Snell is he's obviously getting older, but he's not even that old, but signing the guy off of his career year is literally an Angels staple, and it just seemed so Angels-esque to get Snell. I'm shocked they didn't. And it obviously doesn't help that our rotation and bullpen is moose shit. I honestly couldn't even tell you who's our two right now. Who is our two?
Griffin Canning.
Oh, yeah.
Griffin projected to be the number 2.
Yeah.
Who I actually kind of like.
He's good.
He's okay.
Mission Viejo kid.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Who's our 3?
Sandoval.
Sandoval.
I could get behind a little bit. We'll see if he can stay consistent. He's all over the place a little bit.
His clock's already ticked, man.
And then
been ticking.
Tyler Anderson and Chase Silseth to round it out. That's scary.
Yeah, I just need a little refresher. Okay, it's been like fucking 8 months since I've heard any of these names, and now they're going to be pivotal parts of my everyday life as I'm nuking the fucking Angels late night. But obviously not a great rotation, but they can lock in. They can lock the fuck in.
We'll see. I mean, I also saw Luis Rengifo, who I really freaking like and stepped up big last year. He's hurt. He came out of the game today with a hamstring tightness injury. Probably not serious. Hope he's okay, but there's always something going on with this team. I mean, you got Rendon, who's hitting behind Mike Trout this season. Who knows, when? It's not even if, it's when Anthony Rendon makes up an injury to get out of playing, because I've never seen someone hate the sport more in my entire life that plays it so well. The weirdest situation ever, one of the weirdest teams ever. They got some not as big name guys, a couple who have fallen off, like Mickey Moniak, the all-time prospect at one point, who I think could still be really solid for this Angels team out there in the outfields. Logan O'Hoppe, that dude hits nukes, right?
Yep.
We know that. He's pretty fucking good. Zach Neto, has shown flashes at times. They've got Javon's guy, Brandon Drury now, right? They've got some bats, but they're going to have to put up some serious runs to hang. Jovan, what are we thinking about the Angels this season? Are they going to go over or under that 72.5 win total, or are they going to stink?
I think they're going to be terrible. I think they are going to be god awful. And the thing is, I would have some hope if everybody in this lineup, first of all, the only shred of hope the Angels have of being somewhat decent or going over that win total is if one of their young guys comes out and is an absolute star, on a roll. And that has to be while their whole lineup is healthy. The problem is all of their floors are so low that they all happen to happen at the same time. That's exactly what we've seen. When Mickey Moniak is bad, he is actually one of the worst hitters in baseball statistically. And Nolan Chanuel, same thing. He also has no power. So the floor of that lineup is so low. Rendon's going to be hurt. Rengifo's already banged up, which sucks. O'Hoppe's not developing like they kind of thought he would have. And I don't know, he'll have plenty of chances to do it this year. It's just so many things have to go right for them to even have the slightest bit of hope. And even if that happens and the lineup is somewhat decent, the pitching staff is not going to help. So that gives me no hope for the Angels, as well as the fact that I think we're going to get to mid-July and they're going to be selling the team. So it's hard to have any investment hopes.
Whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be giving away some pieces come trade deadline. I feel like that's not even a hot take or a thought. That's probably a certainty at this point.
It's happening. Yep, it's happening. Okay, well, I'll ask you this and then we'll move. Trent, I want your thoughts on Rendon. He was a national. He won me a ring. I think he's a beast. He had the same attitude here in D.C., but he got away with it because he was actually good then and still played. But now it's not so cute or funny when you're hearing that when the guy never plays and doesn't want to be there. So thoughts on Rendon?
I mean, he hasn't done shit for us as an Angels fan since he's gotten here. Legit hasn't done anything. So I'm hoping that we can see some spark out of him this year because we brought him in for a reason. Obviously, again, like I said, coming off an absolute insane run with the Nationals, World Series, Angels give him a literal Brinks truck, and now he's moose shit, just like Pujols, just like Josh Hamilton, just like CJ Wilson. You can go on and on. And it's just a classic Angel signing.
I just hate for Rendon. I hate how he thinks it's cool to brag that he hates his job.
Yeah. It's like Aaron Rodgers vibes, but even worse because he's literally saying out loud that he hates his job, that anyone would die to have, right?
Yeah.
He's just a dick.
It's pretty ridiculous. And he's so open about it. Why is that cool to openly admit that you hate what you do every day? I don't get it.
He's got to be just an ultimate tool bag.
For real. I mean,
we all grew up playing baseball. There was a kid on our teams growing up who had a couple too many fightings on. He probably had a couple too many pairs of different shades, right? And he was just the biggest piece of shit. That was probably him growing up because he was a studs, and it's never changed. So, hate to hear people say they hate playing baseball because we would give anything to be in their shoes, right? That's why it pisses us off so much.
Yeah. And the thing is, that team is so young. I mean, obviously you have Mike Trout in there, who's a good veteran leader, but you're trying to get all these young guys to develop, and you got a guy who is in the clubhouse talking about he fucking hates being here and doesn't want to be here playing baseball for a living. And you got Nolan Chanuel, Mickey Moniak just sitting there why are we here then? They're not getting any better. What motivation is that going to give any of these guys to get any better?
The Angels, man. They are one of a kind. We'll see what they can do this season. Trent, I'm rooting for you. All right. I kind of agree with both of you guys. They're probably going to stink. Everything has to go perfect for them to compete, especially pitching wise. But I wouldn't be shocked if Mike Trout goes out on a little fuck you tour and proves people wrong. I wouldn't be shocked. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the Rangers. Not too much. Everyone already knows they're really good, but I want your guys' thoughts really quick. Plus 210 for a reason. Okay, they just won the World Series, and now they're not even the favorite to win their division. Seems like odds makers are hip. They know the Astros are probably going to run away with it and bounce back after, the one time they give up, one win to the freaking Rangers down the streets. Houston bounces back immediately right after. Is there any value on backing the Rangers this season? And do we think, Jovan, are we going to get Wyatt Langford up there in the pros right away? What's good with him?
I mean, probably very soon if they're not going to start with him, right out of the gate in spring training. Thing is, I just don't think this Rangers team at its current state starting the season is that good. Like the problem for the good thing towards the end of last year is that their pitching staff picked it up, and part of that was because, they got Scherzer, they got Montgomery, they got some bullpen pieces that were starting to figure out the rotation coming into the season. First of all, I mean, they didn't sign Jordan Montgomery back, which I was kind of anticipating that they did, but you also have Scherzer, who just got back surgery. They have Maile, who they got, and he's not going to be ready. They obviously have DeGrom that's waiting for Tommy John. So they're all going to be coming back in the back half of the season. So the rotation they're opening the season with is Nathan Eovaldi, John Gray, Andrew Heaney, Dane Dunning, and Cody Bradford. That's a dog shit rotation. With all due respect, Nathan Eovaldi's good. John Gray can be good in spots, but Heaney, Dunning, Bradford, I am not scared of that if I am any team.
You keep Dane Dunning's name out of your mouth, Jovan.
Yeah, I mean, Dane Dunning's cool. He's so much better out of the bullpen though, and
yeah,
I mean when he's been a starter, he's been super inconsistent. Cody Bradford is dog meat. That is a guy who I love to fade, especially in that division because he gives up so much hard contact. So Jordan, if he's getting to start against Cody Bradford, or if Cody Bradford's going to start against the Astros and Jordan's in the lineup, that's a guaranteed home run. So that the Mariners also love a lot of home runs. Anybody who plays in that division, he's not that good of a pitcher. So the rotation's a problem coming into the season. And then you have a lineup that's filled with, first of all, Corey Seager. I don't know if he's going to be ready for opening day. It's kind of seeming like he's trending towards not. He had hernia surgery, so we'll see if that kind of lingers coming into the season. But the rest of the lineup, including Seager, they're coming off of career years. The perfect time to fade a lineup full of, a lot of back end of the bench guys or, not stars like Semien and Seager is when all of those guys are coming off career years. Jonah Heim, absolutely fantastic. Adolis, fantastic. Evan Carter had his little, insanity run towards the second half of the season in the playoffs. Josh Young, rookie of the year. It's a lot of guys who kind of feel like they had their season. It all came together at once, which is why that team was good enough to win a World Series. Coming into this season, even if they're slightly worse than they were last season, that's not in terms of the win total a great year. So I think my favorite thing to take in this division is their win total under.
Okay. Interesting. I am more than down to fade the Rangers this season. Down to fade any team coming off a World Series win. We'll definitely be fading them in their first game of the season. You can go ahead and mark me down for that one on Pickett, guys. You can go track my action. That'll be locked. Okay, that'll be in there. I'm out on the Rangers as well. I'm looking at their lineup. I'm seeing Scherzer, who knows what's good with Scherzer? I know he's, gotten cleared to return, but the guy's a fossil, and how herky-jerky his rotation is, I'm not surprised that the injuries keep getting worse and worse. And I'm praying that he gets back to, being that dog he is up there on the mound, Mad Max. But can they rely on him, who's probably only going to be pitching half the season? I don't know. And they got Nathan Eovaldi as well, who's a fossil. I'm not surprised to see they didn't go out and re-sign Montgomery, because a lot of times these owners go all in, they spend their money, they get their World Series, and then they burrow and they hide. And that's what the Nats have been doing the last couple of years. They got their ring, the fans stop bitching, and the team can, stop spending all their coins in free agency, throw that money into the team, or just chill and try to make more coins and profits instead of spending all the coins on players. You see it a lot. So I'm not shocked, and I do think it's going to be a letdown year for the Rangers after a nice World Series champion getting off the schneid for their first one ever. That's when you got to fade them. Come on. It's the Rangers we're still talking about here, guys. They got one. They're still the Rangers. The Astros are going to steamroll them this season. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Mariners real quick, and then we're going to talk about Oakland for about 1 minute. But we're going to talk about the Mariners. All right? They're plus 300. That's some line respect there, Jovan. Right behind the Rangers, World Series champs. What are your thoughts on the Mariners this season?
I mean, they're going to be – I look at them pretty similarly to how we have the last couple of years. They're that team that everybody likes to make a run because it looks like they have the pieces for it every single season. And I agree. Like, they're going to be very good. They're just not going to be better than the Astros. Like, it's that pitching staff and that rotation is always great. And I think you have a solid case for 3, maybe even 4, if you want to stretch it there, guys that can have Cy Young caliber years, like Luis Castillo. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. Had a little bit of a home run issue last year. I think he's going to fix that. Logan Gilbert's my guy. Really good year last year. Kind of inconsistent towards the end, but it is what it is. And George Kirby, the fucking robot. Like, that's a scary pitching staff, and the back end of the bullpen is just as scary. So, like, the problem is, can they score runs at a consistent clip, which I really don't think so. Like, their lineup, they didn't really make any huge additions that I think are going to change the scope of their lineup. Like, I love the Mitch Garver signing, but that's more of what they already have. A lot of swing and miss and a lot of power, which is cool. But Jorge Polanco, I think, is a solid addition. It's just the lineup feels the same to me relative, like, to what I expect them to produce. But pitching is going to keep them in every game. I think they're going to be easily in a wild card spot, and they're going to be a tough team really whenever, just because of their staff.
I love this rotation. You got Castillo, who I think is going to have a bounce back as well. Jovan, his strikeouts this season is high as heck for a reason. He's going to dominate. And then you got the young guns, Gilbert, Kirby, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, who at times last year was unhittable. Other times he was the worst pitcher in baseball. But the guy's young as heck. He'll figure it out. He'll be more consistent. Trent, I want to ask you, a lot of cool, trendy young pitchers, a lot of fun guys to, take PrizePicks squares on. Is there one of these young arms who you're looking forward to betting on, or is there a guy who you're loathing to bet on after costing you an insurmountable amount of coins last season?
Luis Castillo was definitely an option that I considered for my Goat Whale season-long entry.
Wow.
I think he's going to have a great year. There wasn't too many pitchers that jumped out to me, but he was one of them. But Brian Wu was a guy that I had lots of coin on all year, and he was solid. So I'm looking forward to watching him this year evolve as a pitcher and get better. And, his line was usually 5.5 Ks. Maybe we start seeing that bump up a little higher if he has a better year. But he's a guy I definitely love riding. Pause.
What?
Crazy.
Pause. Sure. Gates, might have to edit that one out, brother. All right. Might have to put in some overtime tonight and edit that one out.
No, that one, you got to leave that one in. That's not
getting unbelievable. All right. Well, hey, you're talking about PrizePicks squares over there, so I'll reel us back in with this. We've talked about it before. Absolutely in love with betting MLB PrizePicks squares. I know I am. You guys are too. You're baseball guys. Okay. What is the one square you were the most excited about to be able to place, for this upcoming MLB season? I'll start. Give you guys a second to think. I just absolutely go off for fucking earn run squares. I don't know what it is. I am just obsessed with smacking a less than 2.5 earned runs on a shitty pitcher. I feel like Mega Minds, and I am so stoked to smack one of those, maybe even a little Yu Darvish action for opening day over there in South Korea against the Dodgers. Who knows? Jovan?
Yeah, I don't know if you can count me in for that one. But
I don't know.
I love the grimy hits runs at RBI squares. The ones that just pop up and you're just like, these are guys that are hitting in the 8 and 9 hole, have no business being up. They have a tough matchup, and PrizePicks always knows something. So those are my favorite. Those feel the most satisfying when you just come up and I'm trying to think of a name off the top of my head. I guess I can say like Josh Palacios is the one that comes to mind because I bet on him countless times throughout the end of the season for no reason. So guys like that pop up and you just see them spawn on MLB home run videos, Twitter. It's just not many better feelings.
It's the meme of, oh shit, here we go again. Jovan locking in the weirdest hits, runs, RBI squares of all time. I'm ready. Trent?
I would have to go, even though I don't have any in my freaking entry. Strikeouts are my favorites to sweat, but
I knew it.
I can't wait to sweat so many different ones. There's like 10 pitchers I'm excited to be riding this year, but I just couldn't come to terms with one of them. But so many young guns like Hunter Green, Scooble. Who else am I? I mean, obviously, I'm going to be nuking Strider and Snell all the time. Cease on a new squad should be interesting. But no, pitchers, strikeouts are like my favorite for sure.
Yeah, I could have seen that one coming. Is that because you were a catcher back in the day and you just like seeing a good strikeout, a good swing and a miss?
Probably because I don't know, when I'm watching the game, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of like what or how to get this guy out and what pitch is coming next. And I just like being able to put myself back into a catcher's mindset kind of when I'm watching the game a little bit. It makes it fun.
Sure. Calling the pitches in your head.
Yeah.
While we're talking prize pick squares, I think this is a great opportunity to transition right into the NL West.
Sure. You don't want to talk about the Athletics, do you?
We can talk a little Oakland first. I forgot we didn't go over that yet. I mean,
I do want to say this. Okay, Seattle minus 155 to make the playoffs, and for good reason. They're going to be a wild card team this year. They're going to figure it out. The Mariners will be dancing in the postseason. Okay, like that play. It's juicy. Who cares? Don't fear it. Embrace it. Let's talk about the Athletics for 1 minute. All right, start the timers. This team can't get worse. All right, they actually got a little bit better as the season went on last year. Is there any hope for this Athletics team, or are they going to be the worst team in baseball? Jovan, we'll start with you.
No, there's a lot of hope. Like that lineup is not bad. Like I can look at it and I can tell you I'm a lot more excited to watch the A's lineup than the Angels lineup.
Honestly, yeah, I am too.
Like, I mean, Zach Geloff is a stud. Ryan Noda, stud. Brent Rooker had a great year. Esteury Ruiz, when he can get on base, is fun to watch. Lawrence Butler's cool. Blade's cool. Seth Brown's cool. Like this, it's a respectable lineup. And like the pitching staff is bad, but like they have some pieces that are much better. Mason Miller, absolute stud. Hoping he can stay healthy. They're going to have him in like a little bullpen bulk guy, then closer for a little bit role, which is kind of weird. I don't know what direction they're going to go with that, but like they got Alex Wood, they got Ross Stripling, like they got Scott Alexander, Joe Boyle, who POD Pete's talked a lot about. He's like the new favorite arm on the board. Like you said, couldn't get worse. Pitching staff definitely got a lot more respectable, and the lineup is definitely going to have some spots to put up runs. So I don't hate the A's this year at all.
Over, under, half an Athletics money line wager from Trent this MLB season.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be placing a couple. I'm excited for this A's lineup, believe it or not. I love me some Rooker bonds and some Geloff bonds.
This guy's going to hit.
Those are hit run RBI goats.
Those are hit run RBI guys, if I've ever seen.
They are indeed in the hole.
Well, Oakland this year, their win total at 57.5. I like the over on that. So I think they might shock some people this season. Like I talked about, can't get any worse for the Athletics. They're about to move, maybe go to Vegas. Maybe this Oakland team, sticks their fucking foot in the dirt and actually does something this season. They don't have to do much. 60 wins. That's all they got to do. 58. Nothing crazy. All right, let's move. Let's talk about the NL West. All right, we all need to hear Trent's thoughts on the Dodgers. But first, let's go over the odds. Speak of the Dodgers, they are minus 600 to win this division. Yup, you heard that correctly. These odds were from earlier today. Minus 600. I've never seen it. We'll never see it again. That is insane. Insane.
Is that the highest ever?
I mean, I guarantee you it has to be, dude. There's no way a team has been more than minus 600, and it makes sense because the rest of this division is moose. Relatively. You got the Padres getting some line respect, which is hilarious after their season last year. And I actually kind of want to buy stock in them, but we're going to talk about it. They're plus 1100s. You got the Diamondbacks tied up with them at plus 1100s after making a great run last season. That's kind of some disrespect, in my opinion, with those odds, tied up with the Padres. You got the Giants, right, who just welcomed in Blake Snell to be at the top of that rotation with Logan Webb. That's going to be epic, but that's pretty much it. Their lineup, plus 1200s. All right, a little disrespect there. And then the Rockies, obviously holding it down in the basement, plus 20,000. Trent, I'm going to cut the shit here. The people want to hear your thoughts on the Dodgers this season.
I'm sure everybody that watches baseball and is a fan of baseball wants and is preying on the downfall of the Dodgers and would want to see nothing more than for them to somehow choke or sell in the first, second round of the playoffs. That's what everyone's praying for. And quite honestly, I would not be shocked if that happened again. Obviously they have the best team arguably of all time assembled. It's going to be insane watching them this year. But I don't know. The lights are always too fucking bright for the Dodgers. Somehow, some way. Kershaw will probably toss a turkey in the NLCS to send their asses home.
Well,
always how it goes.
if Dave Roberts doesn't get that team to a World Series and get a ring,
I
are
mean,
people going to start bitching even more? I feel like that guy's been on the hot seat for a decade.
he's been in the hot seat forever, bro.
He lives in the hot seat.
Like, if they don't win every game, I swear the game they lose, like, there's the conversations resume. Like, and then they'll pause for a bit because they've won 10 straight, and then they get swept by the Giants randomly in August, and it's like hot seat.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If they don't come through with this team at minus 600 to win the NL West, he's getting canned.
He has to
Right.
get canned. Has to get canned. I don't know how he hasn't already, to be honest, but they pulled off some wizardry in the offseason and literally got every free agent ever, including the best one of all time. So if they don't win the World Series this year, it's a mega bust.
Well, the weirdest part of the whole thing is that the Dodgers win total, which opened up really high. Jovan, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 104.5 when it
It
opened
was
up.
the highest of all time, too.
Yeah, it was around
Actually
there.
moved down. It's moved down.
Well, yeah, I figured it would only move down. I don't think it would go any higher.
Yeah, I don't know if it could. But
Yeah,
I thought that was funny. Seeing it drop a little bit. Maybe people are fading the Dodgers, like you said, Trent, spite bets, right? People are rooting against them, preying on their downfall, if you will, because, they just bought a super team. But also, like Trent says, the Dodgers always find ways to fuck it up more often than not. So I'm very curious to see how this team pans out. They have zero excuses whatsoever, but they also have Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, who went ghost mode at the end of last season, along with all those veterans. They bring in a couple other guys. They made some moves. You bring in a stud pitcher in Glass now. You bring in Yamamoto. But is that going to be enough, right? Because everyone else is, old or coming back from an injury, or they're an unproven young guy. So I don't know how I feel about this team. I don't know if they're worth a bet on that over 103.5 wins. I surely wouldn't be taking that. But I don't know if I can fade this super team, because when they win, it's going to be big, and they're going to go on streaks this season where they're unbeatable for 2 weeks. We're going to see crazy highs that we've never seen before from a baseball team, because they have the greatest roster ever assembled. Okay, and that's why they're minus 600 to win this division. Jovan, any other thoughts, man, on this Dodgers team? I know you hate them. I know we're all pissed they just built the squads, but we can both agree they're going to be pretty darn fun to watch at times.
Oh, I mean, yeah, like that lineup is ridiculous. And I think Trent found out very early in spring training just what they can do, watching them score how many runs off of Musgrove in a game that didn't mean shit.
Yeah.
It's just like that. There's no hole in that lineup. Like, even if you have Mookie and Freddie choking in big moments, sandwiched in between them is Ohtani sitting right behind them. You got Will Smith, Max Muncy. You got Teoscar, who can heat up at any time. Like, you have any one of like the outmen, Gavin Lux. Like, Gavin Lux, I mean, should be getting a lot better too. This could be a year for that. But get any production from like any one of those guys at the bottom, and like, what do you do? Genuinely, what do you do?
I think, I mean, obviously their best players are going to take them very far, but I think they go as far as their bottom of the lineup takes them. Because if they're dicking around, it's going to be one of those disappointing seasons for the Dodgers, because it's a lot like March Madness in the sense like anybody can fucking win in the playoffs. It's just a matter of who's hotter, who's playing better ball.
New season.
Yeah. So if their bottom of the lineup can be consistent on a nightly basis, it's going to be literally just trouble for the entire league for a whole year.
So this team is going to be almost unbettable, I feel like, this season. We're going to see how it goes. I know you're going to find ways to try, Trent.
Don't tell Trent that. He's whatever number he's got.
It might have to be just team totals.
Might have to be team totals. It might have to be Fugazi pieces, money line parlay pieces. I'm sure you'll find a way. I don't doubt that, Trent. Okay, it's your Dodgers. Come on. But I mean, they're going to be minus 300s in damn near every game. They're going to be minus 2.5 on a lot of these spreads. We're going to see more minus 2.5s, maybe even a couple more minus 3.5s than we ever have, right? They're probably going to have more of those spreads this season combined than ever in the history of baseball. And we probably had a handful of them over the last 2 years. So this Dodgers team, I'm not going to be looking to fade them game to game, because there's no point in taking their opponents plus 1.5 when the Dodgers are going to win most of their games this season, probably by more than a handful of runs based on how stacked that lineup is. So I'm a little bit scared to be fading the Dodgers game to game. I'm curious, Jovan, is there a way to fade this squad? Is there a contrarian angle? Is there a nasty angle? Is there anything we could do to root against these fuckers?
I think if you're taking them game to game, like you got to do it on the ML, which like with the Dodgers, it's for that reason. Exactly what you said. Like when they win, it's probably going to be big. And if there's going to be any hole in that team, it's going to be certain guys in the back end of that rotation and then into the bullpen, which the bullpen is still very, very good. But if you're going to find a little pocket, it's going to have to be through scoring runs of your own. Because realistically, like there's not many pitchers that are going to go in and shut down that Dodgers offense. It's just simply not feasible to expect that consistently. So like if you're going to attack them how people are doing like in that one series against the Pirates where you were just like, fuck it, this is the biggest numbers of all time. I'm just going to take the ML for some sort of value.
I took my girl out to dinner after that series. I was the richest man on earth.
Yeah, I know you
remember
that
was unbelievable. Tucupita Marcano. Ever heard of that name? Does that ring a bell to any of you guys? Probably not.
Of course.
Legend. Hitting nukes left and right against the Dodgers.
I had to do I had to do a freaking WAP dance because of that series.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though. Like any win, like those games for the Pirates felt like that was like the greatest underdog story in baseball in years. And that's literally going to be like every team that beats the Dodgers this year. It's going to feel like that.
All right. So 2 more things. I'm going to ask you guys their win total, like I said, at 103.5. Let me get some predictions. How many wins are the Dodgers getting this season? Jovan?
I would not be shocked if they went over that, Krabs. I'm not going to lie to you. I think they could sit right around it and touch 105.
What's the most wins of all time? 121?
21?
I think it's I think it's 121.
What's 9 plus 10? 21?
I think they surpassed that number.
122 wins.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the sports books, and Las Vegas doesn't look how it does with bets like the Dodgers ever win total hitting. So I'm going to guess 103 right on the nose. Barely goes under by the hook. Get those emojis out. That's my prediction.
You even know who has the most wins of all time, Krabs?
No, I was hoping Sir Gootsington would be on the case there.
You don't know.
You know what? He actually is in the chat because he's him, and it's looking like they won 116 games. The Cubs did back in the day. 116 and 36 back in 1906. I thought it was
the Seattle Mariners.
Looks like the Mariners in 2001 won 116 games and tied points. Yes.
Yeah. So give me 100.
Flopped in the playoffs immediately.
Taking 116 to tie it or break it? 117.
117.
All right.
So
Trent
many wins.
The Dodgers are breaking the record this season, most regular season wins. That should be a good look. We move. All right. How many hits do you need from Freddie Freeman this year, by the way, since we're talking about square shit? How many hits do you need from that month?
Wow. 177.
All right. He got 211 last year. 199 the year before. Easy.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's whether or not – I feel like guys like that with numbers like that, you're betting on whether he's going to get hurt or not. Because if he's playing, he's getting that.
Yep.
There's not a world where Freddie Freeman doesn't get that number if he plays 150 games.
There's no way. I agree. And you still got Will Smith in behind him, or maybe Muncy if he, goes nuclear again like he did at points last season. They got the guys to back him up. Teoscar, that guy's a freaking home run hitting machine. They got the guys.
Yeah, I mean,
right? And who knows how this lineup stays solidified if they do end up going Mookie, Shohei, and Freddie. They could move that around too. Who knows? Right?
Yeah, that's why I wasn't comfortable taking Freddie's RBIs because I feel like they might be moving that around a bit more than people think.
If I was the Dodgers manager, first of all, they win the World Series. But second off, I'd have Freddie hitting second.
Really?
Yep. I'd have Freddie hitting second, and I'd have my best hitter on my team / on earth hitting third to clean them up and bank on one of those two guys to get on base. And they'd be the greatest first inning team ever. But that's what I would do.
Yeah. Can't hate on that.
We'll see. I think either way, they'll probably be just fine on offense.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. All right. Let's keep moving. We're going to power through the rest of these teams in the NL West because I think we can all agree the -6 hundo Dodgers is probably going to cash. But we got to talk about the Padres. All right. I was surprised to see them with the second shortest odds tie with the D-backs here. I thought they'd be down where, the Giants are, or maybe even longer odds. They're getting some respect this year after absolutely folding last season when they had tons of expectations, right? making trades, kind of giving up on the season. Is Machado bouncing back this year? Are the Padres a team we can buy low on this season, Jovan?
I think so. In the way that Trent was talking about, there was a lot of pressure on the Angels with Ohtani there, and literally they couldn't make a single mistake because the entire world was watching. It's kind of how I feel about the Padres. They made this super team or attempt at it last season, didn't work, and really they're scrutinized for every single move, past that. So now that Soto's gone, they lost a couple of pitchers too with Seth Lugo. I think that's a bigger piece than people realize too. Like a lot of those, I think, is kind of addition by subtraction, not because they were not productive to the team, but I think they just needed to break it down and get back to building around, Tatis and Machado in more subtle ways. I think that works better for that team, that locker room. So I do think they did make some crucial pickups. Like Michael King is a guy that I love, and I think is going to be super versatile, probably in like that Seth Lugo role. And I think the rotation is going to be all right. They lost a couple pieces, between him, between Snell, between Walker, of course. I think they're going to be just fine. I mean, that division too, like you got to score to win anyway. It's not like any significant rotation addition is going to make that big of a difference. Sorry, Giants. But yeah, I think this is probably the year to buy a little low on the Padres and say they contend for that 2 spot and maybe a wild card.
Trent, you got smart last year. You said, I'm done taking this Padres team. And that was the right move because they did not respect coins all last season. And I lost plenty of them betting on that shit squad. What are your thoughts going into this season? Are you keeping them off to the sides? Or are you giving the Padres another chance?
I'm more eager to bet on them this season than I am last year, I will say, because last year I just had so much expectations. I'm laying fat juice on this fucking team, and they're losing the bozo team. So they still got a pretty good squad, and surely they'll have better value, throughout the season. But I'm looking at the bottom of the lineup here, and it looks like dog shit.
Yep, and their depth is not great either. I mean, you got guys like Tyler Wade coming off the bench. Not ideal. I like their rotation now. A guy that people talked about for 1 second and then everyone forgot for no reason, I don't get it, is Dylan Cease. We talk about the move for 1 minute. Nobody else cares that Dylan Cease is on this team. Looking to bounce back and revitalize his career and, clarify to the rest of the league that he is one of the best young arms in baseball. I guess you could still call him young. I don't know. But after last season, I mean, that was Moose. He's going to be looking to bounce back, change the scenery. That could be huge. Getting away from the White Sox, that is going to be huge, right? Come on. Can't be worse than being out there in Chicago with that squad. That's just a losing organization.
Shit or
losers. Yep, losers. So you leave. I think Cease has an incredible season. I think this Padres team, when you get a lot of squads in this division with great offenses and not the greatest rotations, I know they just added Snell up there in San Fran. I get it. They have a good two-headed monster at the front of that rotation. But the rest of this division, offensively, they're stacked. I think the Padres have a chance to zig while everyone else is zagging a little bit here. And I like to buy low on some of these arms. Yu Darvish was a staple last season, extremely consistent, one of the most consistent seasons I feel like for him overall. Not his best, but solid enough, and he's a veteran at the top of that rotation who I can trust. Okay, Joe Musgrove, terrible season last year. Hurt, atrocious. I'm buying low on Muskie. I still think he's got another season in him. Dylan Cease, like I just explained, don't have to again. He's going to be great this year. Michael King, like Jovan talked about, like that kid. Really like that kid, especially since he's not on the Yankees anymore. And then who knows what Johnny Brito is going to do, who was also a former Yankee. So I'm kind of in on the Padres this year. I've talked about him already. I like buying low on squads who have high expectations the year before and then absolutely folds. And the Padres are going to be my team to do that for this season. Give me their over 83.5 wins. I think they shocked some people and end up finishing in second place in the NL West. And that's why they're getting this line respect preseason on the NL West standings odds.
I'm in on that.
Seems like a lot of wins.
That's a lot of wins. That's a lot of wins. The good thing is these guys don't have to play their teams in their division as much, right? They play other teams more, which is huge because the Padres won't have to get destroyed by the Dodgers as much, right? That could be the difference.
Yeah.
I like their over. I think that's high for a reason this year. Manny Machado, revenge tour incoming.
I like that.
All right. Let's keep moving. We got to talk about the D-backs who surprised everyone last year. Jovan, before the MLB season in 2023, we talked about it and said this team was going to get hot late and go on a run. Well, we were right and wrong. I mean, they were hot the whole fucking season pretty much, and they were unbelievable. What a run they went on. And they're getting disrespected like this in the odds. I mean, they're tied with the Padres. I know they're not going to be close to the Dodgers, right? They don't have an actual real chance against that super team, but to be the same odds as the Padres with what they did last year, are you kidding me? Jovan, is there a reason why these odds are so disrespectful for the Snakes this year after their run?
So I think, honestly, I look at that and I think it's more Padres respect than D-backs disrespect, because to me, it still feels like nobody's really talking about this team. And a lot of that's probably due to, the other team in the division, obviously, in the Dodgers making a super team over there. But they're like, people are expecting greatness from the Rangers, expecting Corey Seager to be MVP again, expecting Semien to do that, expecting them to get better, like Wyatt Langford, new shiny toy, whatever. But nobody really expects the same out of many people from the D-backs. And I think, I look at that lineup, and I think it got a lot better. Like, Corbin Carroll was not great for the entirety of last season. This year, I think he's going to be MVP caliber. Ketel Marte, fantastic. Gabriel Moreno, was really good for parts of the season. And then they went and they added
Peterson.
Yeah, I was going to say they went and they added Jock Peterson, Randall Grichuk, and Eugenio Suarez. Those are guys that make that lineup complete, make that lineup deep. And the one problem with the D-backs, they're one of those teams that it's kind of an abyss at the bottom of the lineup if they're not hitting all that well, which Alec Thomas and I guess Geraldo Perdomo, even though Perdomo was good for a little bit of the year, they kind of attribute to that. And now you have Grichuk to platoon against lefties. So Alec Thomas doesn't have to hit lefty. And Perdomo, he's shown a little bit of flash. So that lineup's getting up there with, I know it's not Shohei, Mookie, Freddie up there, but I think that's a really good lineup. I think it's better than ever. But I do not like Zach Gallen this year at all. My favorite PrizePicks square of the MLB season long is his over ERA, which very recently also just got bumped up from 3.41 to 3.44, which is not something I'm surprised to see. But I think he is regressing a lot. It's similar to Manoah. Not that he's going to be nearly as bad, I don't think, obviously, but he's a guy we tried to fade because he had terrible expected numbers for the entire season. Didn't work out, kept getting away with it, kept giving away a bunch of hard contact, and it's going to bite him in the ass this year, especially because he's a guy who doesn't walk many people. So he's much more likely than any other pitcher to get some batted ball luck, turn the other way, and start to regress. So I don't think he's going to have the greatest of years, but I don't think that's going to hold this team back from being really, really good either.
Trent, thoughts on the Snakes this year? It looks like their win total is at 83.5 as well, but the over is juiced compared to the Padres where it was reversed.
Wow. I really am still in disbelief on how the fuck they pulled off what they did last year, to be honest with you. I don't have any expectations for them to do anything like they did last year at all. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing some major regression coming for the Arizona Diamondbacks, if you want my honest opinion. But snakes do bite. Snakes do bite. I'm sure they're going to be playing the Doyers a lot this year, and they're going to be plus 300 at times, and they're going to win. That's just
they'll steal a couple. They always do, right? Snakes bite. I'm worried about this rotation. Jovan, mainly because, his meat on tape MLB square this year is fading Zach Gallen, which is, you tell most baseball fans that, and they think he's crazy, just like Alek Manoah's take last year. And next thing you know, Alek Manoah is not even on the major league team right now. So should go to show you what you should think about Jovan's favorite MLB square of the season to all the listeners. Okay. Merrill Kelly, I love Merrill Kelly to death. A KBO legend. He looks like a grandpa out there. He's got a beer belly, out of shape, hasn't lifted a weight in his life. The dude's just a dog. But can he keep getting away with it? That guy throws meat. I don't know how he keeps doing it. And as he continues to get older, also hate to say it, probably due for an injury. He's been kind of clean the last couple of years, and the guy's a fossil. Not rooting for it, but he's 35.5. I'd be shocked if Merrill Kelly continues, the production that he's been putting up in the last couple seasons. Erod is a sketchball. Brandon Pfaadt, that dude's all over the place. He could end up being, one of the better young pitchers in baseball this season, or he could find his ass back in the minors. Who knows with him? Ryan Nelson, I think he's atrocious. So I'm worried for this rotation. I think they all take a step back, and I think that bullpen led by Paul Sewald, who had just a legacy season closing games last year, is he going to be the same guy? He's 34 years old. I don't know. When he got traded there last year, he regressed significantly before coming over from Seattle. So I don't know if I could trust these pitchers. Their lineup is stacked. I agree with you guys, but I'm out on Arizona this year.
Was Seawald the under you had in that one entry?
Oh, yeah, it was. I'm not giving up on Seawald here.
Is that your barred under?
It might end up being the barred under.
Oh,
all right,
man.
I'm not going to release that, confirm or deny, but that could end up being the Daniel Baird square from this year. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing some gallon silver platter turkeys this year, as promised.
I'm loving
he's
it.
going to be throwing them.
The thing is, like, it's people think I'm saying he's going to have to be like Tommy Henry to go over his square. Like, I still think he's going to be like somewhat decent. I think he could be like a 3-9 pitcher, which like obviously clears this by a lot. But
yeah,
like it's not a Manoah situation. But I think that is simply too low of a line to not expect some regression. But weirdly, think about Zach Gallen. A couple of the reasons I didn't go into too much. He had the highest expected ERA out of his entire career last year, which people wouldn't necessarily think. And a lot of that came in the second half of the season because he was getting gassed. And you want to know why he was getting gassed, Krabs? Because when we got into the second half of the season, that's a heavy workload. And when everything was said and done, playoffs included, 240 plus innings for Zach Gallen, which he's only had 2 other years prior to this where he's been in triple digits at all. So like that is a fat workload for a guy who has not seen or even sniffed it at all. So a guy like that, after pitching 240 innings in the playoffs and coming into this season expecting some, batted ball regression, that's just recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
Yep. I'm with you, my man. I agree. We will see how that plays out. I want to talk about the Giants here briefly. All right. And then we're going to move and talk about the Rockies for about a second. All right. We don't even have Mackenzie Gore to talk about in course. All right. It's going to be all boring shit talking about Charlie Blackmon for the Rockies. But the Giants, they made a splash, right? They went out, they got Blake Snell, a friend of the program, W's. He got his bag, $31 million a year. Awesome. Is that going to be enough for this Giants team? They now have 2 dogs at the top of that starting rotation. Logan Webb, Blake Snell, that's elite. Kyle Harrison, young guy, was pretty fucking good at times last season, though. He could end up being pretty solid. I'm seeing Jordan Hicks potentially getting stretched out, becoming the starter. I don't know what's good with that. Him and Keaton Wynn, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with those 2 guys, right? I wouldn't be surprised if there's, a new 4th and 5th in that rotation in the coming months. This lineup does not impress me at all. They did add some guys like Jorge Soler. They got Matt Chapman. Did they do enough, Jovan? Or are they relying too much on this Blake Snell last-second signing?
They had a really weird offseason. I'll say that. Like, for the Giants, if I'm the GM, I'm going out because their problem is contact, and they play in a big pitcher's park, for half of their games. I want contact hitters. I don't want to go out there and get, a Jorge Soler or even a Matt Chapman who's coming off of a pretty disappointing season. So, like, they kind of got who they could, and I guess that could stretch out to the pitching staff with Blake Snell and Robbie Ray too, who's coming off of an injured season. They made ads. It just feels like they don't really fit to make me scared of the Giants. I will say the one guy that I'm really excited to see actually is Jung-Hoo Lee, who, like, the thing with the Giants is they haven't had a traditional leadoff guy for a while. It's always kind of been a rotating body, like Tyro Estrada's been in there at some point, and that's probably the closest they've been to any consistency there. It's just like Jung-Hoo Lee, I think, is going to be kind of fun to watch. The problem with the Giants is like you can't depend on that lineup, and especially when they play in San Fran, like I said, a massive pitcher's park, and you have a lot of like pure home run hitters, and you just added probably one of the biggest ones in the MLB and Jorge Soler. Can't really trust him until you start getting road games in course. It's like I can't really get there with the Giants, and that rotation is going to be good, but it's also going to be weird too. Like that Jordan Hicks experiment is very interesting to me, but I feel like, the Cardinals tried to do that for a little bit, and that did not work out well in the slightest. And Giants development is definitely a little better than the Cardinals development. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I feel like messing with what's been so good with that staff for a while is maybe not the best idea.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see Jung-Hoo Lee at the top of that order. All right, coming over from the Kiwoom Heroes over there in the KBO W's. Okay, he'll be at the top of the order. He was a stud. He's only 25 as well. He's not really that old. Coming over still with some good years in his prime coming up. That kid can rake. Very curious to see how he does out there in San Fran. I'm not a believer in this lineup. I mean, we've seen guys like Yastrzemski, guys like Lamont Wade, who were really solid when they first came up, but have taken significant steps back, I feel like, every season. Patrick Bailey's going to be a stud behind the dish. Don't get me wrong, but does this team have enough juice and firepower? I don't think so. I think they've got some pretty bad players in this lineup right now, projected to be starting on opening day, to be completely frank. So I'm out on the Giants. That's why they just signed the best pitcher in baseball and are still the 4th shortest odds to win the NL West. No respect.
Yeah.
0. All right, Rockies talk. Are there any players you guys are looking to break out on this Rockies team this season? And do you think they're anywhere decent, or are they going to be the 5th team in the NL West? Jovan?
I think there could be a little run where they're kind of decent. I mean, I'm definitely very biased in terms of, you're asking me who I like to break out. I mean, I love Nolan Jones. He's just like a perfect Coors hitter. And I love betting on the guy, especially when he's in a good matchup in Coors, because all he's going to do is just rip 110 off the bat into the gap or, over the wall if he has the right matchup to do it against. There's going to be a lot of swing and miss that comes along with that, but you got to pick your spots. But I think he's a guy who could easily have a 25, 30 home run season if he stays healthy and gets consistent ABs. But the rest of that lineup, I mean, it's pretty much the same cast. They didn't really make any huge ads. I love Brendan Rodgers, but he can never stay healthy. The Elihuris Montero breakout has been supposed to happen for 4 years now. Ryan McMahon can't stay healthy. I don't even know if Chris Bryant wants to stay healthy at this point. It's nothing to get excited about. I mean, that rotation sucks too. On the plus side, though, we do get Cal Quantrill and Dakota Hudson in Coors now. So, I mean, the Dodgers might be -4.5 in those games.
I mean, yeah, those are the games where you're actually going to see -3.5, depending on the pitching matchups. They will be here. It sounds crazier than it actually is, but you're going to get a couple this year for the Dodgers.
We've never seen 3.5, have we? No.
I think we saw 3.5 last year, didn't we, for one game where the entire team was out? Wasn't there a -3.5 spreads against one of the wagons? I swear there was.
I don't know.
Not sure.
Because I remember being on BTL thinking I'm taking this, for the fuck of it, and ended up losing.
2.5.
It was 2.5. I know what you're talking about. It was 2.5. It was against the Royals, I think.
It was the Royals.
It was the Royals,
and they were sick, and all the guys were out and hurt.
I remember it was 2.5, though. Yeah, I don't think we've seen a 3.5.
We've never seen 3.5. I swear.
Good. Keep me honest.
We're going to though.
We will see them this year. We will. Insane. Yeah, it looks like Daniel Baird's starting the year, unfortunately, on the IL. He's got arthroscopic knee surgery about a month ago, so I don't know. I mean, his career might be done. I hope he figures it out. I'm rooting for the best for Daniel Baird. All right, the guy can still throw hundreds. He just has no fucking idea where it's going. He's literally the guy from Major League. Charlie Sheen, Wild Thing. He has no fucking clue where that thing's going. I mean, zero idea.
Simply do not make squares like Daniel Bard understands.
No, they don't.
They don't, and people don't talk about that enough.
But I mean,
I'm just gonna say.
I mean, this is going to be like the Rockies is exactly where Trent needs to square up and just take his goats, even when they're on the road. Because I mean, this rotation is Kyle Freeland, Cal Quantrill, Austin Gomber, Dakota Hudson, Ryan Feldner. That's their projected starting rotation for opening day. So, especially when they're in Coors, obviously, but when they're on the road, I mean, that is Turkey Central.
I'm just going to say it. Cal Quantrill pitching in this stadium, he might be worse than Patrick Corbin last year. He might actually break the record for the highest ERA in MLB history.
He just might, dude.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be ugly. There's going to be times when you can square up there and take your Dodgers, in Coors -2.5. It's going to be nuts. Cal Quantrill, man. I'm not going to say I'm rooting for him. He's cost me too many coins. Just going to say it.
It might be a moose fest.
Awesome. Well, we can all agree the Rockies aren't doing shit this year. All right, the Dodgers at -600 to win the NL West are probably going to take it home, and if they don't, the world is going to end, and Dave Roberts is going to lose his job. All right, we'll see what happens there. Dodgers, absolute wagons this season. All right, it's potentially the greatest team of all time. And then Trent, you've got your Angels and Mike Trout looking to potentially prove everyone wrong and, just throw more fuel on the fire for his legacy and prove all the doubters wrong that his back is fucked. I think he comes out firing this season.
I hope he does.
A great year. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this AL and NL West division preview for the upcoming MLB season. We're only a couple hours away. I can't believe it. It's finally here. I cannot believe for silly night sweats. I can't believe for day sweats during the surge stream, during BTL, sweating out nerfies, sweating out, earn runs, everything. All right. Baseball, when it's back, we do our best work. Okay. We thrive during the baseball season. And if you guys are looking for more content, we have live shows every day during the week, starting at 11:45 Eastern, going to, about 4 p.m. Eastern, and then night sweats where we lock in our bets and sweat them all out together. Okay, so if you don't know what we're talking about, go follow us on Twitch at Bookit Sports or follow us on YouTube, subscribe at Bookit Sports. Way more content over there. And look out for more podcasts coming out down the line. All right, I appreciate you gents coming on. Trent, Jovan, final thoughts on either your favorite teams in these divisions or just the MLB season since we're a couple hours away.
I can't wait to find some new wagons, man. I guess now that we've wrapped everything up talking about these teams, got me excited from all the divisions, but I really cannot wait to sit down and watch some Zach Gallen turkeys. I think that's, after doing it with Manoah, obviously it was pretty fun because, he was dog shit and that was hilarious to watch, but there's not a better sweat than just sitting down and getting on a pitcher.
Pause.
I had to take a double take there for a sec.
And with that, Trent, any final comments?
The Goat Whale's free as fuck.
The other Goat Whale, GG's, we will be seeing. All right, ladies and gents, thank you for listening. Subscribe, drop a follow, stay a while, drop a like. We will be seeing. Peace.